Hi there, Graham from Penguin Motors here, and today I'm going to talk about a little project we did, which was basically cobbled together an engine for a dyno test. Bottom end of the engine was Dyno Dog, which most of you will know by now is an old, fairly worn, high mileage engine that's just had a set of rings and a crank swap. It's otherwise, apart from a set of ALP head studs, totally standard. So Dyno Dog was the bottom end. For a top end, I felt we needed something that might stretch the induction capabilities for the test I was doing a bit more than the head we had been running on Dog. But I was a bit short of suitable heads to put on. Rummaging around the stores, I did find one. I found a really old Stage 3 Burton head, you know, your typical 44mm inlet, 38mm exhaust, you know, nicely polished, ported, etc. Yeah, I had this head, so I thought, fine, I'll use that one. That particular head was going to push the boundaries of the compression on Dog, because that was going to give you 11:1. Now, 11:1 is marginal on cast pistons of any type, let alone ones that have done mega mileage on the road and literally thousands of dyno pulls here in the cell. But it is what it is. That's what I had. That's what we used. The head was bare with valves, so I fitted a set of uprated springs I found, along with a Coltec rally cam. Why a Coltec cam? Because I'd acquired it, that was all. Don't know much about them, never used them. A bit of Googling gave me some very basic information. And all I knew is they quoted it as a 300-degree cam, and I found some lift figures. Now, the first thing I found when I went to fit the cam itself, or not the cam but the followers, is they wouldn't fit. The ball studs were too long, so I found some shorter ball studs, and at that point I realised that this Burton head was actually really old, and the valves in it were 2.5mm longer than standard, which was going to drastically reduce valve lift, and indeed that's what it was. So we lost around 40 odd thou off the Coltec specified lift. I didn't know what the tappet clearances were, so I just guessed 8 and 10. I assembled it all up, and when it came to running, I timed the cam simply by playing with it on a vernier. Now, a lot of internet and pub experts will tell you that if an engine's going to make decent power, everything's got to be absolutely right. And perhaps that's true, but sometimes, you know, you can get a combination that works. And I think that was the case with this one. We had compression that was too much for the pistons, a cam and valves that didn't suit each other, a really old cylinder head. But when I actually bolted together along with a pair of 45 DCOEs, it made reasonable power. So now I'm going to show you a dyno run that caused me a bit of head scratching. Whoa, I hear you ask. What's all that smoke? Because it looks for all the world like we've broken a piston, done the rings or something. But it's not. It took a lot of head scratching to find. It turns out the Burton head is cracked. And whilst the engine's not running, it leaks coolant into number 4 cylinder, which as soon as the engine fires up, gets pushed past the rings into the sump. As the engine revs come up under load, because the engine's operating around 90-degree oil temperature, As soon as you stood it under load and start to power up the engine, the water just evaporates out and disappears up through the breather. So it looks dramatic and it looks horrible, but in fact I did pull after pull after pull after pull, and the power never actually changed. It stayed put. And yeah, I ran it on a Weber's, and I ran it on twin choke carbs, and the carb that you can see in that video, because I forgot to record video of it running on the Weber's. So in that image, that's actually a Holly, and that's coming in the next video. But what did it make on the 45 DCOEs? Well, a pretty flat torque curve, arguably a little low torque compared to some I've done, but in all honesty, the numbers, considering what we had to work with, are pretty decent. We got 168 brake horsepower and 144 pound-foot of torque. And in the next video, I'm going to show you why I assembled this engine, and we're going to get a comparison of twin choke Webers against a Holly against the Webers.